What's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hutco Roofing, HutcoRoofing.com, Restored Motions, RestoredMotions.com, and ProChargeEV.com. All right, y'all. Good morning. Hope your morning's off to an awesome start. The transfer portal opened up on Monday, and so as of now, we know of 4 LSU players that have hit the transfer portal, and several targets as well. So we already knew that LaTerrence Welch, Armani Goodwin were hitting the portal, and on Monday we learned running back Trey Bradford, entering the portal, as is defensive tackle Bryce Langston. So that's 4 that we know of that they either have or intend to enter the transfer portal. Now, what's really interesting is, I think even more so, is who LSU may target. Just a couple of names that we already know. So Will Shepherd is a name to keep in mind that I've heard. Will Shepherd's a wide receiver who was at from Mandeville, and has spent the past 3 years at Vanderbilt. So Shepherd, he signed in that 2020 class, and that was Kayshawn, Alex Adams, and Coy Moore were the 3 receivers in that class. Of course, 21 was a massive receiver year with Malik Neighbors and Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas and Jack Besh, Deion Smith. It was a huge. Aaron Anderson was in that class as well. So 21 was a huge year, so they didn't go heavy at receiver in 20. And obviously in 20, remember, they were expecting to have Jamar Chase and Terrace Marshall back as well. Well, Chase opted out, and then Marshall played part of the season and opted out. So anyway, but Will Shepherd's had a really good career at Vanderbilt. He's a guy they could target. There's a Notre Dame offensive line that LSU is targeting as well. Steve Wildfong from 247 Sports shared this info. Guy's name is Joey Tonona. Kelly recruited him at Notre Dame. He got in a car wreck, medically retired. He's been out of football for 2 years. Now he's trying to make a comeback. Thought to be a Purdue lean. Well, Brian Kelly got in on it. So that's one worth watching as well. There's a couple of safeties to keep an eye on. Jordan Gilbert is one. Jordan Gilbert is from White Castle, who played his high school ball at U High. He's a safety at Texas A&M, and he entered the portal. Played in 23 games for the Aggies over the last couple of years. He has 2 years of eligibility remaining. Obviously, LSU needs DB help, and that would be an immediate plug-and-play safety. And I'm also told Jacoby Matthews is pondering entering the portal. Remember Jacoby Matthews? He's a 5-star safety out of Ponchatoula. Desperately wanted to go to LSU. A&M made him basically the offer in NIL that he couldn't refuse. So he took the money and went to A&M. And I'm told he's going to decide over Christmas break if he wants to hit the portal, and if he does, obviously there's already an offer, and it'll be LSU. If he goes in the portal, it'll be LSU. So those are some worth keeping an eye on. And then we got a report on Monday that LSU has offered MJ Morris, who's a quarterback. So MJ Morris is a quarterback from NC State, sophomore. Remember the NC State situation. So Devin Leary was their quarterback, and then Leary transferred to Kentucky this year, and so NC State brought in they bring Brennan Armstrong from Virginia. And so Armstrong played the bulk of the year, and MJ Morris was their backup. So he's been a backup for 2 seasons. He has essentially followed a very similar path. He hasn't been in school as long as Nussmeier's been in school 3 years. MJ Morris has been in school 2 years, but a very similar path. Right at about 200 pass attempts in his career, about 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns, 6 picks. So he's followed a very similar path to Nuss. So, I want to be very clear as we talk about quarterbacks, because I know this is sort of a lightning rod when we talk about Nussmeier, but it's essentially the same conversation we were having 2 years ago with Miles Brennan, where Miles Brennan was the sentimental fan favorite. He had waited his turn. He was finally going to get a shot, and LSU went out and signed Jaden Daniels. And my point at the time, as I said, was you can be all gung-ho for Brennan, but keep in mind, Brennan has never been a consistent starter in his career. He's been around a long time, but he hasn't played a lot. And with Daniels at the time, you had a 3-year starter. And so you bring him in to compete. And Daniels, as we know, won the job, and it went the way it did. So you're in a similar situation. Now, the real question, I think, is are you going after a starter, or are you going after veteran depth? And if you sign someone like MJ Morris, you're bringing him in to compete with Nussmeier and likely be a backup. And that's okay. But I think the best way that I can say it is, if you don't go sign a quarterback, you are a turned ankle away from Ricky Collins being your guy. And in a different era of college football, you could say, well, great, he's got to learn at some point. Okay. But that's not the reality of college football today, where the transfer portal exists and you can go get an experienced quarterback. And if you don't add someone with major college experience, that is negligent. I mean, you have this tool at your disposal. To not use it is just negligent. So I know a lot of people have asked about Kyle McCord from Ohio State, Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma, some of the bigger quarterback names in the portal. And LSU could choose to go after them, but you just have to understand that if you go after a player like that, you're going to have to pay them 7 figures in NIL money. And I don't know that LSU has the bankroll or the stomach to do that, unless if they feel like that player wins them a championship. So if that player is out there and they make that decision, they could go that route. Or you just bring in someone to compete with Nussmeier, and, if they win the job, great. And, your worst case scenario is Nussmeier wins the job and you have an experienced backup. Kind of like Ole Miss this year with Jackson Dart and Spencer Sanders. So, all right. Let's say some good mornings, see what y'all got. David Rabb, good morning. Jason Horn, the New Balance Voodoo shoes are fire. Cop mine on Friday. Y'all get by Ruckus, pick up your New Balance Voodoos. They're awesome if you haven't seen them yet. John Hendricks, good morning. Let's see, nothing like good morning Scone for my birthday. All right, John, happy birthday, man. Hope it's an awesome one for you. Hope all your birthday wishes and hopes and dreams come true today, man. Thanks for being part of Morning Scone on your birthday, dude. Craig Dugas, Matt, brace yourself. The Give Us a Chance crowd is already out in full force for next season. Did you know he doesn't have to prove himself because he's waited patiently and is a Tiger through and through, and it's his job to lose? LOL. Yeah, man. You would think people would learn, Craig, but I feel like I'm regurgitating the same conversation I had with Miles Brennan and Jaden Daniels 2 years ago. And I got called a hater and all those things, and here we are, fast forward 2 years, and Jaden Daniels is about to win a Heisman Trophy and be a top 10 pick, and Miles Brennan quit football. I'm not telling you that Nussmeier should leave. I'm not telling you they should bring in someone to replace Nuss. I'm just saying that if you don't bring in someone to compete for that job, that's gross negligence. What if Nussmeier ends up not being good? What if Nussmeier keeps throwing the ball to the wrong team? What if Nussmeier, God forbid, gets injured in the first week? What if Nussmeier has diarrhea one week? What if Nussmeier gets a concussion before an SEC game and you're on the road against Florida, and instead of having a veteran backup, now you're starting Ricky Collins, like, and that could derail your season. You see what I mean? Like, why not? There is no good argument against signing a quarterback in the portal. There's no good argument against it. Christian Myers, Matt, is LSU going to target the defensive tackle from A&M? You're talking about Walter Nolan. Sure, everyone in the country is going to target Walter Nolan, but it's going to cost big money to get him. I would love it if they did. I don't know if I believe they can or will. RJ Blank, any thoughts about going after Will Rogers? Would love it. I think Will Rogers would be smart to stay in Starkville. But he's probably a guy that realizes he doesn't have an NFL future, and if quarterbacks are getting $1 million in NIL, why not go make bank your final year of college? Deborah Coward, Scott Jones. Hey, hang on one second. Drew's back next to me. I'll be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see, Scott Jones, Matt may have missed this. Why is Ohio State having a mass exodus? I don't know, man. I don't cover Ohio State, but I think lots of programs have lots of players leave. I'd be guessing. Could be NIL promises not kept. It could be they don't like their coach. It could be any number of things. Don't know. Let's see. Jacob Thompson, Henry Price, Jeff Hawk, good morning. Glenn Garner, Barry Johnson, Wendell Norman, Vernell Thomas, Brad David. Did Sean Payton really want to take a year off, or did he know the roster was terrible? No, I think he was ready to unplug. Jacob Willis, Weston Weaver, Wacky Chris, good morning. Happy Heisman week. Why the NC State quarterback other than Dylan Gabriel or Riley Leonard? Probably money. If you're going to go get Dylan Gabriel, it's going to cost you $1 million or more. So I think that's a big part of it. And also, I think it does speak to how much confidence that LSU staff has in Garrett Nussmeier. Like, if you're going to spend $1 million on a quarterback out of the portal, you're bringing them in to be your starter. And if they have confidence in Nussmeier, great. But you should also bring in someone to compete and give you depth. So the pitch is going to be different to Dylan Gabriel than it is to MJ Morris. Jesse Brown, good morning. Surprised Welsh is transferring considering a lack of depth at the position. Not exactly, Jesse. I mean, keep in mind, and he kind of got passed this year by Toviano, Stamps. Jeremiah Hughes is still around. They're going to go in the portal this year and get a cornerback or two. And remember also, J.K. Johnson will be coming off of injury, and Zy Alexander is coming back next year as well. Now, Zy Alexander tore his ACL against Army. So, is that a 12-month injury? Is that an 8-month injury? That really determines whether he's available for next year, when he's available next year. But if you have Zy Alexander and J.K. Johnson healthy, you get another corner or two out of the portal. That's the other one I should have mentioned, by the way, earlier, is speaking of Ohio State, Jair Brown. So Jair Brown hit the portal. He's a junior cornerback from Ohio State. So Jair Brown's from New Orleans. He played his first 2 years at Warren Easton. Transferred to, like, he moved to Ohio and played his junior senior years of high school in Ohio, in the Cincinnati area, and then went to Ohio State. He's been at Ohio State for 2 years, and is now in the portal. So that's another plug and play guy. Let's see. Matt Plavidal, good morning. Jude Sansing, good morning. I didn't listen until 2019. Can you recap your 2018 Alabama rant? I saw the list on Twitter X. 2018 Alabama? I think that was just a shame on us for believing it would actually be different, because that was the year LSU lost 29 nothing. I think the 2020 Alabama rant is the one most people are talking about. After my rant yesterday on the Florida State CFP thing, there were some folks on Twitter who were compiling a list of the best Scone rants ever, the Hall of Fame Scone rants. Brian Wynn, Brett Guidry, Bailey C. Alabama was for sure 9-3, right? Meanwhile, they're in the playoff and we go to a bowl game. Yay. Let's see. Guy Brook. I don't know who said Alabama was for sure 9-3. I mean, that was my prediction for them. I thought they'd go 9-3, and boy, they were a breath away from losing to Auburn, 4th and 31. They were a 3-point winner over a bad Arkansas team. They trailed against USF. I mean, Bama wasn't great this year, y'all. Like, it's one of my biggest points about the eye test that people keep saying, Bama eye test. Like, Bama's eye test is bogus. Bama was bad this whole season. They certainly didn't look dominant this whole season. And they darn near lost to Auburn 2 weeks ago. You know, they needed a 4th and 31 against an Auburn team that a week before was a 3-touchdown loser at home to NC State. Anyway, that's the annoying part about Bama and the eye test conversation. Guy Brooks, good morning. Vernell Thomas, what about the Washington State quarterback Cam Ward? Again, another guy that's going to cost you money. And if Cam Ward with 1 year to play isn't going somewhere to be a backup, Cam Ward is going somewhere to be a starter. I would be totally in favor of that if you feel like Cam Ward 1 year comes in, makes you a better football team. I just don't know if that's the direction LSU is going to go. And the fact that they're targeting someone like MJ Morris, I think, kind of tells you the story. Bailey C. Hunt said fans shouldn't boo. To me, it's the only way for fans to say they're tired of bad football. I didn't hear what Hunt said or the context around it. Tiger Diver, Larry Gardner, Brian Wynn, do you think KJ Jefferson might be a fit at LSU? Again, another guy with 1 year of eligibility remaining that's going to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to be a starter. Heath Norman, what happens to NIL deals when a player goes to another school? Does any money have to be paid back? Has to be a contract somewhere. Yeah, they have to, so every player has deliverables. So they have to execute deliverables for their contract. And no collective is going to pay a 4-year deal up front. Generally, they're paid out by semester. The ones that I've seen anyway, where let's say you get let's say an athlete gets a $200,000 NIL deal. Well, if that's over 4 years, then it's $50,000 per year, and generally would be paid like $25,000 per semester, and it would be paid like the 6th week of the semester or something like that, to ensure that you don't just get your money the first day and then leave, sort of thing. So there's a lot of different protections built in like that. But yeah, I mean, it's all different stuff like that. Gary Petrie, good morning, Scone. Gotta love the CFP committee. Who would you like for QB in the portal? I mean, Dylan Gabriel. Get me KJ. Get me Grayson McCall. Get me Cameron Ward. Give me the most experienced, dominant quarterback play. Give me I'm all about eliminating risk. But then again, I'm not the one who's going to be paying the NIL money to get whoever that kid is here. And I bring him in. And if Nussmeier beats him out, awesome. Now you know you got a stud. But I don't know if you do. Let's go 757. Smash that like button if you would. Please subscribe up to the channel. Brad, if Alabama would have lost the Iron Bowl and beat Georgia, do you think Florida State would have gotten in? Yes. Truth Hurts, Brian Penton, Nelbert's Nuggets, DePels. How about the Pels last night? Eric Wilderrotter, nothing to worry about. Scone, 5-7 is the best record Dennis Allen's ever had through 12 games. Abner Neal, Darian Glaze. You see all the Ohio corners leaving. You think Brian Kelly's sending offers. I just told you about Jair Brown. That's the one to watch. There's another corner as well at an SEC school with Ty. Just remember, BK keeps targeting guys who are from the state of Louisiana, bringing them home. Jair Brown, I mentioned, is from New Orleans. Look at what they did with Sean Washington, right? The big defensive lineman who went to Georgia and then JUCO and is coming back now. There's one other. There is an SEC cornerback from Louisiana who I'm told they might target as well if he hits the portal. And when he hits the portal, I'll tell you who it is. Let's see. Cozy Cotters, good morning. Thought the highest ranked SEC team outside of New Year's 6 makes the Citrus Bowl. Why did Tennessee make it over us? Not that it really matters. Good question. Did LSU finish ranked ahead of Tennessee? I don't know what the final rankings were. I wonder if they just didn't want LSU back-to-back years, so they made an exception. Yeah, Tennessee finished 21st. That's a good point. LSU should have been in the Citrus Bowl. Henry Price, if you don't bring in a quarterback with experience, you're Florida State. And even keep in mind, Florida State had Tate Rodemaker, who's been there for 4 years, right? But yes. LSU essentially is Florida State starting Tate Rodemaker with Nussmeier. Oh, maybe that's your point. What Florida State is now after the Jordan Travis injury. Eric, I know Carr's dead cap is completely insane. Wouldn't Cuttingham be very similar with the Colts did with Matt Ryan, the Eagles with Wentz? Yes. However, both of those teams had healthier cap situations where they could afford to do it. The Saints can't because they're already loaded down with bad contracts that have been restructured, reworked. Henry Price, Jason H., Matt, last month someone asked you about the self-help books behind you. Which one of those was the one Papa Scone made you read? I read a bunch of them when I was a kid, man. Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I think there's others that I'm just not thinking of right now. I'm trying to look at the shelf. Anyway, those two for sure. All right, y'all. Cliff Nelson, good morning. White House get the gat is still the best rant ever. However, we can only hope for a sacrifice bunt from LSU that costs them in the College World Series. See where that lands. Yeah, you see, Cliff, I don't want that. I don't want a sacrifice bunt costing LSU in the College World Series. I would just rather LSU go win the College World Series and, roll along. And we'd all be happy. Whoops. Okay, y'all, it's 8 o'clock. My apologies. I got to bounce. Sorry if I missed you. LSU Daily is already live. So on your favorite podcast app, just search LSU Daily. And AFR3. So shout out to Brock and Hudco, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, HudcoRoofing.com. All right, y'all have a great day. We'll see you for AFR3 piece.